Get ready for some harsh, uncomfortable truths today, because I am not sugarcoating anything. If you're not ready to get a little bit uncomfortable, face some deep stuff about how you're showing up as a woman, that's totally fine. You can click away, no hard feelings. But if you are ready to hear what pick me energy really means, why it's holding you back, how to spot it in yourself, and most importantly, how to ditch it for good, then stick around. So, first of all, being a pick me girl is quite literally the worst thing that you can do for yourself as a woman. And I say that with love because I know that most of us didn't choose it. We've often been conditioned into it. But what do I mean by pick me energy? Well, pick me energy is rooted in one thing and one thing alone: centering men. Your life essentially becomes about being chosen, being validated, being accepted and tolerated by men, usually at the cost of your self-worth, identity, and independence. It's a byproduct of patriarchal conditioning, a system that has trained women to shapeshift, silence their needs, and mold themselves to be more desirable to men. But here's the caveat, and it is a brutal one. Yes, pick-me's often do get attention. Yes, men will pursue them, but it's not because they think you're worthy. It's because you're easy to control, you're malleable, accommodating. You've been conditioned to need that validation so badly that you'll pretty much accept anything and stay silent. And men know this. They don't fall deeply in love with pick-me's. They use them as emotional support, free labor, someone to boost their status or help their careers, to raise their kids while they pursue their dreams and possibly even pursue their dream girl on the side. Men see pick-me's as a good deal, that's all. And it is a horrible reality to face, but it's so important that as a woman you understand this. You can be picked and still never truly be loved. You can get the ring, the house, the label, while being barely respected and tolerated by your man. So you need to ask yourself, do I want to be easy? Because if you're operating from that pick-me mode, you are just that to men. Easy. Not special, just convenient. So if you've ever wondered, am I a pick-me girl? Or you just want to make sure that you never fall into that category again, here are my top 5 instantly confirming signs that you are operating from that pick-me energy and why it's time to snap out of it. So, number 1 on the list, you feel validated or confident when a man is choosing you. At some point you have internalized that belief that if a man is showing interest in you, it somehow makes you more valuable. And let me be clear, that is complete BS. It is conditioning fed to women for generations so men could have easy access to us. And unless you call it out for what it is, you'll keep confusing male attention for self-worth. Because here's the truth. That's not you stepping into your power. That's you outsourcing it. Handing it over to a man who benefits from when you're staying small. Because the smaller you feel, the harder you perform. And the more you perform, the more and more he benefits, usually in return for very little. So ask yourself honestly, have you ever been in a relationship or even just the talking stages with a guy where you felt like you were losing yourself? You know, waiting for that next text just to feel okay, clinging to crumbs of attention for the tiniest hit of confidence. That's pick-me energy, and it's costing you your peace. So what is the antidote? Well, getting into a place emotionally and mentally where being picked or rejected by a man no longer phases you. I don't mean you become emotionally numb. I mean, you stop attaching deeper meaning to male attention and stop equating it with your worth. Rather than spiraling into like, oh, he didn't text me, what did I do wrong? How can I make him like me more? Instead you shift into, well, he's inconsistent, that's not for me. This has nothing to do with my worth and I can definitely do better. You see the difference? That's what it looks like when your self-worth stays intact no matter what's happening outside of you. Because the moment you build your confidence so strong that male validation becomes meaningless, you interrupt that fantasy. You start seeing clearly. You stop performing, you stop shrinking yourself. You're no longer waiting to be picked. And that gets you something very valuable in return: your peace. So the second sign is that you're afraid to have standards because you don't want to scare men off. So instead, you betray your boundaries just to keep them. Listen, I get it. You worry that if you speak up or ask for what you deserve, you'll just walk away. So instead, you silence your needs, you lower your expectations, you say yes when you want to say no, you compromise your peace just to stay and keep that relationship. Maybe you tell yourself, okay, this is just temporary, just this once, or that bending your knees and feelings is better than walking away and being alone. But here's the harsh truth. Every time you betray your own boundaries, you lose a little bit of your self-respect. You're also teaching him what is acceptable, and it's rarely what you truly want. You tell yourself it's love, but deep down it's simply survival. Because real love doesn't ask you to shrink or settle for less. So if having standards scares him off, good. Because the right man won't be scared by your boundaries. He'll meet you there, and he will respect and honor them. So if you have ever experienced this or feel like this is you, then here's your antidote. Always trust your gut feeling. Trust that voice in your head telling you that something is not feeling right. Hone into what you feel deeply about a man and act on it. Say no, set the boundary, confront the uncomfortable, and make sure that he always understands that you are willing to walk away. Every time you say no and hold up your boundary, you're building muscle for your self-respect. So number 3, you constantly shapeshift who you are depending on who you are dating. If you catch yourself changing who you are every time you start dating someone new, whether it's your personality, your opinions, even how you dress or speak, if those shift depending on what you think he wants, listen up. That is a classic pick-me move. And it's not just wanting to impress a guy or being flexible. It's about losing yourself to be more palatable because you're so afraid of being rejected. Deep down, you've been trained to believe that if you show too much of yourself, whether it's your real thoughts, your real feelings, your real strengths, your likes and dislikes, that he might not like you. So instead, you edit yourself constantly to the version that you think he might want. And when you shapeshift to please men, you've given away all your power, bit by bit. You've trained yourself to depend so much on external approval that you stop valuing your internal worth. And that keeps you stuck in a cycle of needing to be chosen rather than just being confident in who you are as you are. The biggest irony is that men can always tell this, and it gives them proof that they have power over you. They know that they can influence your mood, your feelings, your view of yourself to fit their needs and their agenda. And that's why this is so dangerous. So what is the antidote? This goes back to building that strong sense of internal worth. Because the moment you have a solid foundation of internal confidence, self-belief, self-worth, you won't fear rejection. If a man doesn't like the real you, you won't internalize it as I'm unworthy. You will simply see it as misalignment. Give yourself permission to show up imperfectly. Your opinions, moods, quirks, and all of it. Because trust me, the right man will appreciate the real you. And if he doesn't, that's his problem. You're not here to be anyone's version of easy to handle. You're here to be you, fully and unapologetically. So number 4 on the list, you make being in a relationship and getting married your life goal. If you've ever made finding a man your main life goal, chasing the idea of being wife material or the perfect girlfriend, you might be slipping into pick-me energy without realizing it. It's easy to get caught up in it because society teaches us as women that our value is measured by how much we are wanted and desired by the male gaze, and it also judges women who choose to be single. So I completely get it. It's very easy to start defining yourself through a man's eyes, hoping to secure that role or that label. But being wife material or the perfect girlfriend or that low maintenance girl often gets boiled down to just being an easy woman who makes her whole life about keeping her man happy just so she can keep him around. She keeps the house running, she manages his feelings, soothes over his stresses, and often sacrifices her own needs to support him. So if you find yourself shaping your entire identity around being with a man, being wife material, that is a major pick-me red flag. Because you start believing that your worth depends on fitting a checklist. You chase this ideal not because it really truly feels like you, but because you think that's what men want, that it will keep you chosen and secure. But here's the problem. When you build your self-image around being someone else's wife or girlfriend, you're putting your value outside of yourself. You're telling yourself that your life's purpose is to serve someone else's happiness first. And that is a dangerous lie. Because over time you will keep feeling exhausted and unworthy, and you'll start to believe that your value is tied to how much you sacrifice, not who you are as a person. So stop buying into the wife material trap. Your worth is not measured by how much you clean, how much you care, how much you tolerate. So the antidote for this is to always set clear boundaries around your time, around your energy, and around your emotional availability. Setting these boundaries is the clearest and honestly the only way to filter out the men who want you for you versus for your labor and their convenience. And lastly, number 5, you're afraid to walk away. Ask yourself, how often have you stayed in relationships beyond the expiration date? The relationships that drained the crap out of you, with men who acted like they didn't even really like you, where you received nothing but crumbs and you started to feel like a shell of who you once were. We know instinctively in our guts when we should walk away from these men, but so often we don't. And that's often because society has conditioned women to really fear being alone. And also because walking away from something or someone you've invested in, well, that's terrifying. You're scared of the loneliness, the what ifs, the judgment from others and society, and maybe even feeling a little bit of guilt. But staying because of fear, that's putting your life on pause, stuck in a place that no longer serves you, your growth, your happiness. That fear convinces you to settle for crumbs, to accept less than you deserve, and to ignore your own worth. So what can you do about it? Well, first of all, start by acknowledging the fear. Name it, don't run from it. And then remind yourself that fear isn't not the same as truth. You can survive and even thrive without a relationship that's holding you back. Walking away from something that's not right for you is an act of courage. It's choosing your peace over chaos and your self-respect over compromise, your future over your past. It's not running away from love. You're just running towards a place where you feel respected and valued. Remember that fear that you're feeling is temporary, but the regret of staying in a bad relationship will have long-term consequences. So, to finish off, when you stop centering men and start centering yourself, everything changes. The way you show up, the way you make decisions, the way you hold your boundaries, and the way you honor your life. So as always, if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which sign hit home for you the most. Thanks for watching, and see you in one of my next videos.